Well, it's one of them kind of days. Orange and Blue Blood Sunday. What a day in sports. Magnificent games everywhere. World Series, Dusty Baker gets a ring, and many good things happening, not the least of which a big win at College Station, and these Gators are back on track. It's the Orange and Blue Blood Sunday. In the Orange and Blue room has been TROUPE. Stand by, folks. It's going to be one heck of a day on shows.
It's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye!
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Good Sunday morning and welcome to Orange and Blue Blood Sunday. I'm Buddy Martin. This program airs every weekend, and this is an especially good one. One of the great days in sports yesterday. Great football, baseball, Gators win. A lot of stuff to talk about today. We won't waste a lot of time here because we got Ben TROUPE ready to preach. It's Sunday and he's going to preach. But I just want to say that this is one of the great days in SEC football. And I know the game we care about didn't get nearly the pub as the other two. But, man, what a win by LSU. New respect for Brian Kelly. New respect. He deserves better. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Georgia's put the hobnail boots on Tennessee. And balls ain't what they used to be a couple weeks ago. But it's all good as Florida goes to College Station and pulls off a second-half comeback. First time Billy Napier's team has ever done that. We're going to talk about that with Ben TROUPE in just 2 seconds after this message from Titan MRI.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life. And the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
All right, thanks, Jeff Cardozo. Right to the Orange and Blue room, and there he is in his hat. I kind of reminds me of Smokey the Bandit. I love it. I wish I had one. Did they make those in bucket-sized nines like my head is?
I mean, listen. If they don't, they're gonna have to get a Buddy Martin special. And that's what they're gonna. No different than I know you ain't been showing us. I mean, that happens on the Buddy Martin show when you show us you growing your greens with you go.
Oh yeah.
Listen, if you ain't got a Buddy Martin special, I don't respect it. So if you ain't got no Buddy Martin special, don't even come at me with the nonsense.
I got some stuff in the mail. I got you one thing. Got more coming. This guy coming up in a minute, Loren Meadows. He got a whole bag full. He got more stuff than I got. So he's Mr. Fashion Play. But Ben, you've been preaching it all year, and I'm not going to steal your thunder because I couldn't if I wanted to. But whatever happened in the third period of Georgia, we talked about it, is something you could build on. It's called heart, it's called fight, it's called spunk. And people say, well, they got to be better. You know, they found something that day, and guess what, Ben? They found it the second half yesterday and crushed Texas A&M. Could have easily won by 3 more touchdowns. Biggest win of the year since Utah. What about it, Ben?
I think you said it best, but it goes back. People always act as if the previous game that has nothing to do with the current game, but in the last four quarters, for this Florida Gator defense, they've only given up 14 points. They gave up 0 points in the second half against a Texas A&M team that if you went out the first half, you thought, okay, we're going to have to find a way to slow them down. So when people think that Patrick Tony ain't making strides, they gave up 0 points on the road. And I know people are going to talk about how many people was hurt and sick, and I hope all those guys that do got the flu, I do hope they get well soon. I think, buddy, you learned a lot about Florida yesterday with this. When you buy in, because think about last week. Got recruits not signing, Brenton Cox no longer on the team, a couple of guys moving to the transfer portal. And we was already saying this. Hey man, people's already saying, all right, can't go 10-2. Can you still go 8? And I think you said it, in one of your articles, buddy, when you talk about 8-4. It's legitimate. I know Florida State got a big win yesterday against Miami, but Miami isn't who we thought.
Wait, against who?
Against Miami.
Who's that?
The team that plays football.
Yeah.
In South Florida that has more away tickets sold than home tickets sold. But even with buddy, we said this. That LSU loss is looking a lot more impressive now. We ain't doing no moral victories here. But LSU get a big win yesterday against
Wow, what a game. What Brian Kelly, new respect for Brian Kelly.
Yes, Georgia showed Tennessee, hey man, just because you rank number one don't mean you are number one. You got to prove it when you go against us. I think for this Florida team, they went on the road and said, look, fellas, could you imagine what they're gonna say if we don't lose? Because when we lose, it's because they got everybody hurt. If you win, that's what they're saying. But if you would have lost, buddy, listen, once again, I do this every week. There are every time Florida has more rushing yards, they win the game. Every time Florida has more time of possession, they win the game. And this is another week that Anthony Richardson did not give the ball to the other team. You see the correlation when he plays well, the defense plays solid in the second half, they find a way to win the game. I tell you this right now, and I hate to say it like this. If Florida played Georgia right now, I'm not saying Florida beats Georgia. It's not the same game. It is not the same game because I think what happens is, buddy, I believe Georgia respects Florida more than they respect Tennessee. They're like, look, man, Tennessee, y'all rank number one. We get it. But them Florida boys, we got to put the pedal to the metal every freaking quarter. But I was impressed. I was impressed yesterday by Billy Napier and staff. What I liked the most about it, buddy, was them second half adjustments. Patrick Toney said, all right, it took me 2 quarters to figure out what they're doing. We got them. That's with no Brenton Cox. Shout out to Princely. Had a chance to talk to him on my podcast. He went out there, had a big hit. Big sack, big. But the contribution, listen, Montreal, Trevor each, just give them the ball. Like, just let them run the ball. And you see why, buddy, everybody goes crazy for Anthony Richardson. That touchdown run, that's not – running backs can't do that. 60 yards, and he ran away from everybody. Like, that's a grown man running down the sideline. But I was very, very impressed. Everybody was scared that are we gonna get bowl eligible? Well, I think we're gonna be.
Yeah, I think so.
I know we got South Carolina coming to town. Still got Florida State. And I still got a big one against Vanderbilt. But the buy-in is happening because a lot of those guys that's out there contributing are young guys, man.
All right, let me jump in real fast. What you just said. Let me just tell me this really impressed me because what Ben said. Pay attention. Buy-in. There are constantly buy-ins that must be made. This guy made a huge buy-in, and they turned it around at halftime. I'm not going to overvalue this. We overvalued Utah, but don't undervalue what happened because it was a transformational second half. Listen to what Vince Miller said about what happened.
I think it just had to do with like the halftime speech from some of the coaches, players. We know we started off flat-footed, just taking ownership with that. And like I said, we just got the boys motivated second half, and everybody came out and did their job, and we showed them how the Florida Gator defense can play. A little bit of tough love, it's a little bit like let's go. It's still a game. We ain't playing like how we supposed to play, and this second half, like I said, we told them to shut it out, and them boys stood on that. So I'm definitely proud of them boys.
Stood on that. Them boys stood on that, Ben. That's what we're talking about. They found something there, and they made a coaching adjustment. First time Billy Napier's team has ever come from behind. They could have won the game by 3 more touchdowns. People say, well, we're slumping. They just didn't want to give the ball back because, all of a sudden, instead of every time they got the ball, Haynes King wasn't able to score a touchdown. And as a result, they got a magnificent performance out of their defense. They made 3 stops. It was really good.
The one thing you can appreciate about what Ventrell Miller said, he said, you see how Ventrell Miller, they were trying to get him to say, exactly what the coach said. He said, no, man. He said, look, we came out flat-footed. That's taking ownership as a leader. They made some halftime adjustments. We said, hey, man, it was some tough love. We're going to stand on it. We want to do a shutout, and they did it. It might be a new age way of recruiting. Old school coaching is going to work. How you do it matters. But I'm telling y'all, when people be saying, hey, man, you can't talk to these young men like that, that's the only way you're going to get it out of them. Because every last one of them are talented. Every last one of them are gifted. But behind closed doors. Buddy, look, the way in which you are disciplining your children in private is not what you're going to say to them in public. It's not the same thing. You got to treat it the same way because now, every single week, Florida has shown you something. Nobody want to be ranked 131. Nobody want to be giving up third and longs and things of that nature. But I think what they did was they saying, look, we've grown up, man. Every single week. This is the 9th game. I get it. We are 5-4. But look at the losses. Kentucky shouldn't have happened. LSU got a shot to go to Atlanta now, depending on what happens with Alabama down the stretch. Georgia is Georgia, right? And we just didn't have, a good game, against them Kentucky boys and things of that nature. So I think when you look at what they was able to do yesterday, the buy-in is real. The buy-in is real because those guys know, look, we believe in we believe in Billy Napier. We believe in what he's preaching. We believe in 1-5. But buddy, just like I know, Florida is not the most talented team in the SEC. Everybody knows that. But are they one of the most dangerous? Yes, because they scored 35 against LSU. Right? They scored 17 unanswered points against Georgia to be down 28-20. They only scored 16, right? They only scored 16 against Kentucky. And I just think that these games would be totally different if they was played in the season. I'm proud of them, man. I'm proud of them, buddy. You said something though. People say they could have scored more. See, that be the thing. It's not about no one if it's 50-something, the 24. You won the game, and you won the game handsomely. That second half, if you think about it. If I turned on the game in the second half, I'm thinking, oh, man, who was this Florida squad? But I'm looking at the defense, and the defense says, listen, dude, if they don't score again, we got a shot to win. And it's hard to keep teams out of the end zone. I don't care who you are. It is hard to keep teams out of the end zone with the way they run offense now and how many plays they want to run. I think Florida had more plays. I think they had more. I think the third downs was like right there together. But the one thing I do know is this: Anthony Richardson, every week is getting better. Every single week. When they said Justin Shorter might be questionable, people are like, oh, here comes Pearsall, right? Here comes Henderson.
How about Jaquavian Frazier's? My gosh.
That
catch. Whoa.
But this is the thing, though, buddy. The throw was one thing, right?
Yeah.
If you saying to yourself, as a receiver, give me something. Just put it in my radius.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the top plays of the day.
Big time play.
But I think, buddy, what's happening with this team is the team is like telling the fan base, just be patient. Just because one thing we said is this: if Florida comes out and just say right now they 8-1, 7-2, it's people gonna be, if they would have did this, they would have did it. No, Georgia showed Tennessee it takes time to get to this level and stay at this level, right? It takes time to get to this level and stay at this level. Florida is making sure Tennessee knows, hey man, congratulations. Y'all got a big one at home against us, but now that O-line is saying, dude, if we could have got that ball off, what would have been different?
Yeah.
If the defense could have played a little bit better in the second half against LSU, what could have been different? If we just breathe when it's 28-20. But I'm going to go back, I'm going to say this again, and I'm not comparing Kirby Smart's first year at Georgia. Go back and look at it. Yeah. It was not pretty. He losing to everybody. I think he lost to Vanderbilt that year. And look at what he's built. Billy Napier said, I got to build this army, and he's built it. And, buddy, it was impressive. And I know, like you said, with the LSU, Alabama, and Georgia, Tennessee, and the Houston Astros not saying, listen, the only reason why I rooted for Houston Astros is because they were orange and blue, and I did not want them to win.
You're still bitter about your brain. You're still bitter.
I don't want nobody.
Give it up for Dusty. Come on, give it up for Dusty.
Dusty Baker, listen, congratulations, Dusty. What he's meant to the game of baseball, how he would always say it's going to happen eventually. man, congratulations to him. And listen, if you are Houston, y'all did the right way this time. I know it's gonna be people saying, "Oh, what? Look, y'all won what two World Series in the last 3 or 4 years." Altuve and Alvarez and them. Boy, congratulations to the city of Houston, man. They needed something good to feel about because you ain't finna get it from them Rockets, and you sure ain't finna get it from them Texans.
Yeah. All right. So here's what we're going to do. Anthony played his best game since Utah. Like you said, he hasn't turned over down in 3 weeks. He touched the pass he threw to Frazier's was really a good pass. One of the best. That's a hard pass to make, and a great catch by Frazier's. There's so many guys whose names we should mention. That will Princely being one of them, but you mentioned them earlier. And you have other guys stepping up, like Douglas and guys like that coming out of there playing. So I want to go back to AR, though, because this was his game. And what he said in his interview, I don't know if we'll get to that far into it, is that Billy Napier told him this could change your life. Change your life. What you do now could change your life. And somehow that sunk in. Let's listen for a second to AR, what he said about it. The coaching job was impressive.
Definitely feel good for us, just winning in general, that's always a blessing for us, it's always lighting up our mood. SEC win for us, that's also a blessing, getting us back in the groove. A road win, against a tough opponent, it just allows us to come out here and play football and see where we're at. Yeah, we definitely talk, in between drives, especially at the end of the game there, just a conversation. He told me, like, this was, going to help me, like, in the future, all week I just been working on my leadership, just trying to hold guys together, just keep the team pushing, allowing us to come out there and play fast, play strong, but he told me, like, this was going to be the turning point of my career and my life, and I kind of see that because I think I'm getting better with my leadership, so that's kind of something I want to keep improving on. That's what he's pretty much touched up on.
You're feeling that.
Yeah, just the leadership component of everything. It's a challenge trying to be a leader.
It's a challenge to be a leader. I think you heard that part there. We're having, apparently the producer's telling us, screaming at, but we're having sound issues. I don't know why on my end, but we'll do our best to get it straightened out. And so what I saw there, I saw a light bulb turn on over Anthony's head. And these are the transformations. Like, he suddenly figured out that leadership wasn't just what he played like. You got to remember, you got to talk to your teammates and make sure they're okay emotionally and mentally. He learned now there's more to it than just balling out. That's a big step, and I think a big step for this team. And by the way, we're going to hear from our guy, LOREN MEADOWS, who was at the game in A&M, and he gave this a great job of reporting on the flu epidemic, or not the epidemic, the flu symptoms they had. And I get all that. Yeah, you can talk about that. And that was a factor. But, hey, it's called football. Things happen. Life happens. You got to play through it. I don't care. I will never devalue that win to go on the road and win against a team that had won 3 in a row against them. To first SEC win, as you said, on the road since 2020. Being able to not get off the field in the first half, every time they got the ball, A&M scored to, I want to say, dominate. They got about a bagel, didn't they? I mean, it's dominated. So this is transformational kind of stuff. Dan Bond was there. He was at the game. We'll get his thoughts here on post. But Ben, this is what is called possibly a quantum leap. This program could be, I mean, I don't want to get over excited about it, but, 4 wins puts them at 8-4. Think about this, occurred to me. If they won a bowl game, they'd win 9. They have 9-win season, Ben.
Yeah. 9-4 is a realistic possibility. And what I like the most about Anthony Richardson is nobody's going to go through or grow through more than him. Nobody is. Because it's only one starter at quarterback at Florida, and it's Anthony Richardson. And it's a player is really getting better when you're listening to what the coach is telling you past football. He's saying, look, this could change your life, man. This could be the turning point. He's letting him know what the requirement is. Anthony Richardson, if you don't know about him, man, he's not a rah-rah dude, right? He's not that type of guy, but he's also what Billy Napier is telling him is, man, you got to be the one to get him going. You got to listen. You got to take the good with the bad. You got to take all the criticism because you're gonna get all the praise. You are the face of this program. I'm the head coach, right? You the driver of this ship. And what he's saying is, quote, I'm working on it. See, people hear, oh, I'm the leader. No, that means, man, I've been anointed this by my teammates, by my head coach, by my team. But what does a leader entail? Humility, taking accountability, building my character, and not being up when it's up and down when it's down, but trying to find a way to make sure that, buddy, when it comes to like what Anthony Richardson means to this team, he gets it. And sometimes that's all it really is. It's what do you know what you mean to this team? Like, because guys, they've been so good for so long. Like nowadays, buddy, we've known them since they was 14, 15 in these quarterback circuits. And they know they're going to be a 5-star recruit. They know they're going to go to a big-time school. Now we in the NIL era. But Anthony Richardson realizes this. That don't mean nothing, man, if I can't get it done. Because I'm going to get what I get because of where I play and the position that I play. But as far as like my game, am I getting better every week? And once again, this is why Ty Mache and Mel Kiper and all the analysts love number 15. Look at what he can do. That's the and I get it, man. He's a freaking monster right there on that field. And we love to have him. We hope to have him back in 2023. Come on, NIL. Give him a couple of more. Give him a Buddy Martin. NIL deal so we can get him back. But buddy, look at the way he's answering questions. And I know this is small, but he looks at who he's talking to. He ain't just answering. If somebody asks him a question, he's looking at them. That's respect, man. That's Billy Napier telling him most of the players on this team, they ain't going as far as you, man. Their whole life gonna be talking about you. Hey, man, tell us about when you played with Anthony Richardson. But Anthony Richardson is a real teammate, and I'm glad that he's growing up because, buddy, he's making some nice throws. That one throw when he came out of that thing, I don't know if he looked at it when he threw it or not. He got that thing out of there. He's building confidence with the receivers, and I just think that when you look at he's 9 games into this new system, and he's getting more familiar with it. With the run game, I wish Osiris Torrance, I wish he had another year eligibility, but that's another show for another day. But buddy, he's growing up. The first person that has to buy in has to be the QB. And it resonates. If he buys in, those other guys gonna buy in. I know Ventrell does, I know Princeton does, and Osiris does, and those guys. But I just think that no turnovers in the last 3 weeks, buddy. Come on now. Even if you're playing well, you're gonna throw it to the other.
Yeah, and Ben, let me just say this: don't forget those days when there were no QB around here. Okay, 10 years we went without a quarterback, basically.
I mean, it's been. I will say this: it's been not to name names, but you have to. We went through Muschamp, right?
McElwain, Muschamp, even Mullen to a certain degree.
Even
Kyle Trask. Now Kyle Trask, give it up for Kyle. But beyond that, it's really nothing. I mean, they have.
It's been rough, but because the thing is, Felipe is the reason why Dan Mullen's career got started the way it did. Because you got a veteran quarterback that's gone through the aches and pains before you got there. Then Kyle Trask comes in, and you go, good Lord, if you've ever seen a quarterback that fit a system better than Kyle Trask did for Dan Mullins. But then, I love you, Emory, but Emory comes in, and it's not the same. It's just not. And people thought because Emory had been there 3 years already. But I think the thing about Anthony Richardson is two systems in 2 years, 2 coaches in 2 years, 2 different ways of going about business. You go from no run game to one of the best run games in the country. I just like how he's maturing. And I think what helped him was, I want to say it was Kentucky game. He came into the press conference and he kind of down. But then the next week, he was like, all right, man, if I'm on Twitter, which I ain't, but if I'm on Twitter signing these NIL deals and I ain't counting this money, hey, man, I can stand up here and take these questions, man. So, I mean, and listen, when Shay saying we still don't have a quarterback, you could have fooled me. I tell you what, Shay. Let Anthony Richardson hit the transfer portal and watch how many teams going crazy to get him. What?
Shay, you got to wake up, Shay. I mean, this is the kind of thing. No. Look, I'm gonna tell you something. Ben, you played football at the highest level, okay? I mean, you played at the highest level. You played the big time. You played the league. You were an All-American, great player. You've seen quarterbacks. You played with quarterbacks. You know what quarterbacks look like, how they play. I've been covering this sport for 50 years. 50 years. I've seen every quarterback play since 1950 or 55 or whatever it was. I'm no expert. You're the expert. But Shay, if you don't get this, put that 60-yard run on tape and then come see me in about 3 years. How'd you like that play? Man, you got to understand a talent. Everybody thinks they're experts on quarterbacks, how to build a fire, running restaurants, okay? Ain't no expert. You ain't no expert, Shay. This guy, Ben, is, I know a little bit, so you got to wake up, Shay. Stop complaining. Be grateful for the gift that you got in number 15, Shay. Man.
No. Everybody ain't gonna like Anthony Richardson and what he's doing. I get it. It ain't their cup of tea, right? It ain't their cup of tea, right? Okay, this is the thing though, right? This is the thing. I want to go back to something. So Anthony Richardson on the year has 9 touchdowns and 7 picks, right? Nine touchdowns and 7 picks. I get that with a QBR of like a QBR of like 71. Just to show people it ain't what they think, because everybody was like, oh, his stats ain't good. Okay, he has 9 and 7. All right. So then when I go to Will Levis, right? Because everybody going crazy over Will Levis. Right now, I want to say Will Levis got a couple more yards. I think he got like 16 and 9 or something. So and his quick QBR is in like the 60s. So, and he has like a couple of more passing yards than at the end of the day, buddy. This is the thing. The expectation of a guy like Anthony Richardson is always going to be through the roof, because you know what he's capable of.
Yeah.
Most people in life, that would be like if I'm going to Louisville and they tell me, "Hey man, you remind us of Lamar Jackson." No, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you don't. What it was is coming into the season. This is what they said. Anthony Richardson remind me of Cam Newton. And people can't get that out their head, right? No, he reminds you of Anthony Richardson, right? You know, if I go up to Tiger Woods' son and say, you remind me of your daddy, well, that makes sense because his name is Charlie. His daddy is Tiger Woods. Anthony Richardson, to me, is a guy that has always going to have untapped potential because of what he can do. There ain't many people on the planet can run 60 yards and not get caught. On the planet. 60? And he did it yesterday in a called run. I think the thing about Anthony Richardson is he gonna realize certain people gonna only judge you on your failures, man. They ain't looking at what you really do. They only judge you. 3 weeks, no turnovers, no turnovers. And guess what? If we don't play Georgia in one of those weeks, you're probably 3-0 in those weeks. So what I saw from Anthony Richardson yesterday was, coach tell him, if you don't turn the ball over, we got a shot to win. What do you mean? If you don't turn it over, doesn't mean we're gonna win. He didn't turn the ball over, and like I said, man, I mean. He could have been running. If he was at the 1 yard line yesterday, that's a 100-yard run.
100-yard run. Yeah, right.
It's different when they weren't going to. You know why the defense keep running, because it looked like they were going to catch him. No, you weren't going to catch him. He hit that sideline quick, and hey, I'll take the win. I know that Lauren. I hope you good up there. What up there? I know it was flu game. It was flu game 2022. But I'm gonna say this to Lauren, could you imagine if? I know once we win, it's because they got the flu. Could you imagine if we would have lost and all those guys would have had the flu, what they would have said?
Oh, they'd have been like, how bad it is that we lost to a team with half the flu. Here's the thing is, prior to the game, you know, it was, you know, through a good source, it was given to us that a few players on Florida's team had the flu as well. I mean, it's this time of year, and, you know, particularly including you know, Ricky Pearsall, who was battling some sickness as well. So, you know, it's this time of year, man. As a football team, you deal with those things. You deal with injuries. You deal with suspensions. That's the way of the game. You know, to go on the road to you know, I wouldn't call it a hostile environment, but a very loud, because, you know, Texas A&M fans are probably some of the most welcoming fans you might find in the SEC, but extremely loud place, closed in, a lot of pageantry. Just a tough place to play, and for Florida to come in and get a solid win in a game that, you know, if you want to be, I guess you can't be critical, but they could have scored 50. To score that kind of, you know, to move the ball, score that many points, hold any offensive team to 106 yards and a half and no points is to be commendable. So I think that, you know, people that want to nitpick and things like that, like you said, I mean, they just. You don't really understand how this thing works and how a 12-week season can be a grind on any football team. And I think that that's where, people have to put it into perspective. And if you look at going into the year, a lot of people said 7-5, 8-4, and 8-4 is a real reality for this.
How about 9-4?
Not well, yeah. And
I mean, look at the year.
I mean, one heck of a football season, something that you can build on, and I think that's where this team was. I wrote about it in the spring, the case for 8, and all of those things. I mean, maybe the points that were made aren't necessarily how this team has been developed, but at the same time, I always thought that this was an 8-win football team. I think they have 3 winnable games. Looking them right in the eye. The team, when you have run game, you can travel. That run game goes with you, and I think they're in great shape. I mean, like I said, I think this is a team that's playing for accomplishment, not survival, and that's the difference. Take the flu out of it. Yeah. Texas A&M is a team playing for survival. They got all these great facilities. They got all this money.
Well, who was that team in the first half scored all the points? Who was that team?
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't incapable. Hey, let me jump in here. I'm going to let you guys chop it up because I just want to say one thing. Ben and I talked with this. We started the show. What happened last week in the third quarter? We talked about how that could really change a team, how you can build on something like that when you got to fight in a team. It comes in one score of the team that's now number 1 in the country. By the way, who has Florida lost to this year? All ranked football teams. And by the way, 3 of them are in the top 10. So just remember that, okay? So, okay, so let's keep that in mind. But moving forward in the chemistry of football, y'all both played ball. I've watched it a lot. You got to have something in your bag that you can go to and say, this is the time we got to stand up and fight. Ben Trail talked about it. I loved his comment. He said, we want to shut out. The defenses are going to get a shutout. And, quote, them boys stood on that. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what they did. They stood on that. So I just want to say this. And I want to say what I saw last week, since last week, I saw better play calling. You guys heard me say last week that I think you heard me say you come out of an open date and you can't get any better offense than that. Probably because they're working on the defense. But I saw some play. Hey, Loren, I saw reverse jet sweep, and I saw a flea flicker, and I saw some imagination. Yeah. I love that. The offense is coming to light, but it was pretty uninspiring at times against Georgia. But coming out of that first half and coming on the field, the announcers were talking about, oh no, they get the ball back in the third period to kick off. They score every time they get the ball. If we don't stop them and we don't score, we're in trouble. Well, guess what? They did stop them, and they did go and score. And so something, you heard Ventrell, Ben, you heard it, talk about the halftime speeches. You don't hear many players talk about halftime speeches. A lot of coaches don't do that anymore. People think it's breathing fire. Sometimes they just say, okay, here's what we're doing wrong. So that was big. So I saw the Gators, I thought they had resolve and direction. And I'm going back to this is what I say. A seminal moment came when you had to make a decision on Brenton Cox. You say, we got to do this. There was reasons we don't know about in that locker room. But when that happened, his conduct unbecoming, whatever he did, it was time for Brenton Cox to go. And guess what? Who played well yesterday? Lloyd Summerall, Antoine Powell, 2 substitute played really well. I saw guys flying around. So they not only changed the direction of the season, they found new leadership, and AR says it may have changed his life. Ben.
I think you said it all, buddy. The thing is this. I mean, with the whole Brenton Cox situation, which is what people got to understand. No one player is bigger than the squad. I don't care who you are. I really, really don't care who you are. There was a quarterback that would go unnamed that was on the number 1 team in the country when Jim McElwain was there. They just played Ole Miss, and they just beat the brakes off Ole Miss, and he was gone. That was his last play at quarterback. He went on to go to West Virginia. When you are at the University of Florida, it's what you need to know right now. There's a reason why we got 85 guys. You might be better than the guys we got, but you ain't better than the guys we got if you causing a distraction. And I got to say this too. Nobody is good enough for that. Nobody is good enough for that. And what hurt players the most is who you think. If you look at Florida, it's like that's your resume. Who's going to be your resources? That's going to be Billy Napier. That's going to be Patrick Toney. That's gonna be Mike P and those guys. That's Sean Spencer. That's who gonna speak on your behalf when they come to try to talk to you. So the best thing to do is be a team player first. I mean, I wish Brenton Cox nothing but the best. But Florida just showed you how good they can be. You know what they've done the best in the last 4 quarters of football for them on defense? It ain't been better play calls. It's better execution. They just executing. When you go out there and execute, you win games. Guys aren't getting the ball thrown behind them. You're getting for sure tackling. Guys are getting to the quarterback. That's defense one-on-one. And guess what? Everybody looks like a great play call when you win games. You're only a bad play caller when you lose. They are not reinventing plays this Saturday. They ain't got time. They running the same defense. But this is what happens. That player coach, buddy, dance in the locker room. No, when you lose them, they finna get in your face. Because this is big business. You at the University of Florida, man. You better get your behind out there and get it. And this is what happens. Now it's like you watched 2 games with the defense yesterday. You watched the team in the first half, they couldn't stop nobody. Second half, dudes are where they supposed to be. Texas A&M is like, oh, these the same guy. Yep. Same guys that ran out there in the first half. And Lauren, you was there to see it. It's execution wins games. Players make schemes. Execution runs those schemes. Go out there and get it done. Because if you think the offense is good when the defense playing bad, look how much better the offense play when the defense is getting stops. All of a sudden, everybody out there balling. Everybody coming. Why? That's football. When I know my defense going to give me opportunities and they're not going to turn the ball over, look how much better. AR is walking through the telling defense, boy, I don't know what y'all did. Do it for these next 3 games. Because whatever y'all did makes us better. So all I saw was better execution. All I saw was guys playing. I saw guys saying, I'm not going to be the one this week. I get so sick of hearing this us, man. I don't want it to be defense let us down again. Because at a certain point, that's what a player has to ask himself. Do you want to be the reason why we win? No. Well, you can't be the reason why we lose then. If you ain't the reason why we win, don't be the reason why we lose. And as a defense, they put their foot, hey, you shut out a team in the second half and you only gave up 14 to the number 1 team in the country last week. Hey, man, that's getting it done. And like I said, the more they do that consistently, the harder they are to beat. The best teams in the country, they don't think you could beat them for 4 quarters. You could beat them for 2. You probably could beat them for 3. You ain't going to beat them for 4. And that's what Florida is learning right now, dude. We might not look good for 2 quarters, but, bro, we got to make it. We got to get it right. And they got it right yesterday. Jimbo Fisher's, they got a picture of Jimbo Fisher's face. When Anthony Richardson run down the sideline, somebody took a picture of it. The look on his face like, dude, we about to lose. Because if we can't stop that and the defense is playing, like I said, they don't got to play great. They just can't play awful. You play right there in the middle, man, you're going to win more than you lose. Because like I said, our defense, you don't even realize Brenton Cox wasn't out there yesterday. And that's what guys need to see. A 5-star recruit who was supposed to be one of the leaders of our defense. He wasn't even out there yesterday, and you didn't miss him. That's football, people. So y'all recruits that's looking at that, you better take the best decision is be a team player. I love Brenton Cox, man. I wish him the best. But when they let him go, all he said was, "Hey man, Brenton is no longer on the team. Go to your meeting rooms. We don't got to get into it." So whoever was his backup, you are now a starter. Princely, Dexter, Ventrell, Trey, Marshall. Let's play. All right. They ran 11 out there, gave up 14 points in the last 2 weeks, gave up 0 in the second half without Brenton. Brenton was watching. Oh, he was watching. You know what he's saying? I could have been out there. Mm-hmm. If he's telling the truth, that's what he's saying. Mm-hmm. But hey, Brenton, we go. No, let me say this. We miss you, but we don't miss you. That's football. I had a coach tell me that. Yeah, we gonna miss you around here, but we ain't gonna miss you. Because another guy, he can go. The next guy don't got to be as good as you. Because if you were better than him, you would do what you're supposed to do to be on this squad. We want those that want to be here. So if we at 5-4 right now, I know Florida State is looking good. I wish the guy we had Miami on the schedule, we would definitely get to 6.
Hey.
We had him on the schedule this year.
But you may have to go down and play a game for 5,000 people. You know what I'm saying? 5,000 fans. Did you see the exit yesterday at halftime? It looked like they were leaving town for a hurricane. I mean, that place emptied out. They got humiliated, hammered, and Big Mouth Shea. Oh my gosh, that guy drives me nuts.
the Miami fans. Well, Hootie, because Hootie from Hootie and the Blowfish, I think he's a Miami fan. Uncle Luke, he down there. You need to stick to making music, please. You think
John Ruiz go practice law, man. Get out of the fan business. I said it. I couldn't stand it. I finally tweeted last night. He kept going. He said how great we were. We're going to kill FSU. Bill Dewey said. I thought, how's it going down there? You need to go drop a couple of more bags, a couple of million. Matter of fact, you need to maybe do a couple $100 million because you ain't going to win what you get. And you can't buy a team. You can't buy a team.
Give it to Gators Collective. It ain't working down there in Miami. Just give it to Gators Collective. They'll find a way to divvy it out. Because all those Miami boys that signed in 2023, that transfer portal is going to be loaded. All right. Watch that transfer portal for Miami because, outside of the palm trees, and a bunch of celebrities walking around down there, that stadium be looking bad. That's too Miami stadium to be that empty.
Loren, last time I looked, Loren, I don't think South Beach was in Coral Gables. Do you?
Yeah, that's a whole nother. We got to have another show to kind of assess that Miami program right now. It's struggle bus for them, but I want to throw out a couple things.
Go ahead.
Touched on it lightly is, you saw a team and defensively. It's funny. We got a lot of people on here that have a lot to say about what we are defensively and offensively, but what people don't understand is. There was an old saying when I was coaching is any scheme is good as long as it's sound and the kids believe in it. And what you see from Florida is both offensively, but particularly defensively, as much as people want to talk about Patrick Toney and Sean Spencer and what they're doing defensively, the kids believe in the scheme. They get in there, they execute it, they run it to the best of their ability. And, once the talent meets the scheme, which I think the scheme is extremely good, it's got a nice concept. You see when they start stunting and angling and bringing people from different angles with those creepers, what it can do to a quarterback. And people sitting there talking about half their team was out and all those things. Look at the guys that were out and look at the plays that were made. Their top tackler was still there. Their top back was still there. Obviously their day one starter started the game. I mean, they would have started a true freshman, and he might have played worse than Haynes King did. So, you saw a team that went into the locker room, executed, decided that, came out the locker room, executed, decided that, we're going to continue to play the best football we could play within our scheme. And that's where you get 106. I don't care who is playing on the other side. To hold a team to 106 yards of total offense and a half is Georgia-like. It's Alabama-like. Some of the great defenses that they had at Texas A&M back in the day. Those are things that you see from that team. And I mean, I think the team just, really started to, really started to believe, started to see, and for teams for people that see other teams move the ball, I will say this too: any football team, they practice too. They got some good plays too. And like I told you, I was sitting with somebody, and we gave up that we were in cover 2, and Ben, how it is that the number 1 kind of ran towards the hash and then broke out to the corner, and they ran number 2 out the back in the flat, which puts that corner in conflict. And this guy, behind me just going off about it. I was like, that's the perfect call for that coverage. Sometimes it just happens. They practice too.
Yes.
And that's the thing. I mean, they practice too. So I think people really need to understand, break down, listen to guys like Buddy Martin, Ben Troop, others that have played at a high level, that understand, that have run different offensive concepts, things like that. Because I can tell you, I mean, when I was in college, the difference, I'll give you a perfect example. We did not believe in our offensive system. To this day, I'm 49 years old, and we were decent in college. I still don't know really what we were trying to accomplish on offense. I guarantee you that the Jason Marshalls, the Trey Deans, the Ventrell Millers, the Amari Bernies know exactly what they're trying to get done on defense. You can see it in their faces. You can see it in their comments. They understand that their level of play has to match what is being put in front of them schematically. And yesterday it worked out. And that's what happens when you see a team that believes in their scheme, believes in what they're being taught, and they just got to execute. I mean, after the game, I could hear, guys, Jaden Hill was talking to his family and saying, Coach Raymond said this to me, or he said this, because I know there was some butt chewing at halftime. I mean, they said it, and you could hear every kid acknowledging, but ultimately understanding that that's part of being coached. And if you do those things and continue to get better, that's how you get an 8-4 team, possibly a 9-4 team.
Yeah.
And you build for the future, So
Good stuff. Let me just say in our remaining minutes, let's focus on the things we saw that were the best things we saw yesterday. The best things we saw or heard. You were at the game. You just talked about it some, Loren. Ben, I know some of your thoughts. I'm going to give you mine first, if I can, because I'm old and I forget them if I don't. So I got to get them out there now. This quote was really good from Billy. I really liked it. We didn't have the bite, but I got it written down. It says, I told Anthony there late in the game, I think Anthony's going to play this game for a long time. I think he'll look back, and this will be one of those days he will say was kind of a pivotal day. I think just playing with confidence, he started really fast, really thorough in his prep during the week. He's a 20-year-old first-year starter in a new system. And I think, again, I really believe Anthony's problems are not physical. It's about development. It's about getting comfortable in a role, being a leader, being vocal, improving as a communicator, playing as a competitor, and playing for your teammates. Taking yours and beating theirs, I just think today was a big step in the right direction for him. Amen to that right there. That, I think, is what we're seeing. That's transformational. The second thing I saw that really impressed me, and I know Loren wants to brag about Dusty Baker. He can do that on his own time. Gets Ben upset when you do that. But I got to give it up props for Brian Kelly. All right? We pretty much trashed him. All right? We made fun of him, talking about his dancing, his talking. Brian Kelly knew what he was doing. He was building a program, and you know what he got? He got buy-in from them, and they got a quarterback who can play and run and fight. And when he took the fight to Alabama in the overtime and went for two, man, that's Steve Spurrier kind of football. That's my kind of football. So apologies to Brian Kelly if I dismissed him because he's one hell of a football coach. And guess what? LSU may be playing Georgia for the SEC championship. That's how good this guy's time. Another thing I wanted to say was I love the play calling, some of the changes and what have you, stuff that we saw. I love the football. But RIP to a great Gator, Major Parker. He played, he's a young man, and I don't know what took his life, but he was a building block for Billy Donovan, and a hell of a man and a hell of a basketball player. So RIP, I'm sad news about that. So those are some things worth noting. Who wants to go next on what they liked, what they saw yesterday?
I'll go ahead and go. I send those sentiments as well to Major Parker. May he rest in peace. He actually played football. Came out for the team. His senior year, had 1 year eligibility left. My freshman year, 2000. I mean, that boy could run, man. One thing I remember about Major, man. I mean, you coming from basketball, that boy could run all day. I mean, and obviously he tried to fit in. The physicality of the game was a little bit different for him, but may he rest in peace, man. The good die young, man. I mean, I send my condolences to his family. It was hard. It was hard when I watched it after the game. As far as what I saw yesterday, even with the play you talking about, Loren, the only reason why that play didn't work is because that's corner. He just didn't sink far enough. Like the people go, it just hooked the flat. Yeah, but he got to be in the middle of both. I got to be far enough to stop the hook, and I got to be close enough to stop the flat. That's why they call it hook. So I got to push that outside receiver, but I got to keep sinking. But the thing about it is this: what I liked the most about yesterday was those guys proved it to themselves on defense. Y'all can do this. Like the coaches only yell at you because you can do it. I'm not gonna yell at a player that can't do it. Y'all can do it, and this isn't scheme stuff all the time. This is, dude, what are you doing on this play? What are you supposed? If a player can tell you what he's supposed to be. If he can tell you what he did wrong, that means that he's making it up. Look, playing timid gets you beat, right? Playing confident gets you better. Doesn't mean you're going to win. But if I play confident, I'm playing better. I think our defense, they was playing, what I saw was a confident bunch. Because what happens is this. You argue on the sideline when you pointing the finger. You bring guys together when you, hey fellas, you see what I'm saying? You supposed to be talking. What I saw yesterday was Texas A&M offense was like, bruh, what is going on? Because they wasn't running something. You don't got time to say, all right, throw out their game plan for the defense. We're gonna go with something. No. Hey, cornerbacks. Listen, they running this on third down. Ventrell. This is what you got to do when it comes to that running back. Hey, and this is the thing too, right? I don't want to hit this Haynes King stuff. Haynes King was a starter at Texas A&M. He was a starter. All of a sudden, oh, he can't. No, he just lost his spot. And even going back to what you said about Brian Kelly lost Miles Brennan before the season. Max Johnson went, he transferred, and Daniels is who he was left with. Them boys 7-2. That's some coaching, man. That's coaching when you ain't get your first two guys and they got. So shout out to Brian Kelly. No more dancing though. That don't mean I want to see the dancing. I don't want to see that. But I will say this though, buddy. What I saw the most yesterday, Lauren, was a confident bunch. See, Anthony Richardson can't just be the only one playing with confidence, man. It's got to be all the guys. And when they all playing with confidence, they hard to beat. Because like I said, unfortunately, Florida ain't had a, what? They ain't had no, I guess it's like Eastern Washington. We don't have no 28, 35-point first halves. We're going to scratch and claw that thing, and we're going to get it. But we got it, though. Because like I said, no matter what, I'm happy that, Texas A&M lost 4 or 5 in a row, and we a part of that. So what I saw the most, buddy, was just a confident bunch. And when they play confident, it's better. Y'all, buddy, Lauren, y'all know this. If you don't know nothing else, the best teams have the best body language. You can just go look at it.
And I saw him take the field yesterday. I saw a different look to this team. Ventrell, I looked at Ventrell differently before something going on. You're right. Yeah, the different attitude.
Listen, I don't know whoever our strength coach was that was beating the hell out the air yesterday. Beat it up. I don't know who.
Shadowboxing. You see that, Lauren? Lauren probably didn't see that. Yeah, it was shadowboxing.
But I think too though, that's the investment that these coaches put in. Like there are coaches, man, that really, really love these dudes. Like they really, really want the best for. Yes, they get paid. They're supposed to get paid. But some of these guys really, really want, because like Ron Zook told me, it took football for me to get introduced to you, man. This is how we introduced ourselves to each other. I think you're gonna do great in life, but right now I'm gonna use football to teach you life. That's all. And when Anthony Richardson, when players sound like coaches in post-game press conferences, they get it. Well, they don't even sound 21. They out there saying they do a coach speak. Coach said this, coach said that. Because that's what it's about, man. When you do what coach say first, and when the ball is in your hand, you let your gifts take over second, you're gonna be hard to beat. Because so I saw a confident bunch. I'm happy for them boys. And like I say, Ventrell Miller, right, is definitely the oldest guy on the team. No doubt about it. You ask anybody on defense who they look to.
He's the man. Alpha male.
Ventrell. Yeah. And that's what it's supposed to be. The leader on our defense is Ventrell. He always got a smile on his face. He don't point fingers. And that's what you're going to need. Because at the end of the day, when them boys end up 9-4, this going to be one of them seasons to look back on. Because they're going to say, who you lost to? Tennessee, LSU, Georgia, Kentucky. Oh, okay. Who didn't you lose to? We beat it. So if you end up 9-4 with the way this season is going, when you was 3-3 at one point, hey man, that's coaching, man. Shout out to Billy Napier, man. He's finding a way to get them, and that's quote before he get his guys in.
Yeah. All right, good stuff, man. And all right, so we're going to do this, and Lauren's going to give us his best things, and we're going to project what's next and talk about what is reality, because you can't afford to go to sleep on South Carolina. They're coming in here. I don't like their team, but they're capable of biting you. You can't sleep on it. You got to build on this block, Loren. And when you've been talking about going back to review this season, they'll go back to the third quarter of the Georgia game if they found something, won't they, Lauren? And they'll say, well, it started right there. So what were the favorite things you saw, Lauren?
Well, like I said, I think that the best thing I saw is, like I said, I saw a team to kind of counteract what Shay keeps saying. I see a team that's improving every week. For somebody to ask me, do I think that Florida has gotten better since week 1? Are you serious? That's an insult to Billy Napier, Corey Raymond, Sean Spencer, Patrick Toney, Rob Sale, Darnell Stapleton, Kerry Colbert. Are you serious? I mean, come on, man. I mean, are you serious? I mean, but I saw a team that, like I said, consistently is playing for accomplishment, not survival. I mean, after the game, they walked out of the locker room so confident, so stoic, so ready to go on to the next game that it was like it was a loss after the game. This is a team that is handling their business and almost taking on the corporate mentality of their coach. You know, Billy Napier kind of handles things as a CEO, and this team is conducting themselves in a business like fashion. So I mean that's what I saw, is just a team that is able to take even a minute play in the first half and forget about it and put together a great second half. And I think, like you said, you saw those tenets in the third quarter against Georgia. Well, we played as bad as we possibly could in the first half against Georgia, but we're gonna come out this locker room and we want all the smoke. And it was the exact same thing this weekend on the road against Texas A&M. Now, what I will say is, you know, I caution that, you know, once again, I would hope that, you know, the one thing we haven't done necessarily is started fast as a team. And the last thing we want to do is let South Carolina come in on senior day and start fast against us, because, and no offense to the young man as a person, I don't know him, but I think Spencer Rattler is the ultimate front runner as a quarterback. When things are going well for him, he really gets it going. So I think as long as we stay together, and like I said, schematically, the best thing is a team that believes in what they're doing, both offensively and defensively. The way that, you know, our guys run routes, get down, sit in zones. And, you know, for Dan Bond, I would probably say my white glove player yesterday was Anthony Richardson. I mean, he played I think he played his best game as a Florida Gator. So, you know, I think that those things right there are just something that they could build on. And, you know, I also want to give a shout out. Probably the most impressive thing I saw was Texas A&M's facilities. I mean, I was telling somebody, man, their facilities are unbelievable. So we got them beat on the field and the clock tower. That's about the best thing.
Yeah,
we got
there you
right
go.
now.
All right. All right, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to hear from Jeffrey Meldon, and then we're going to talk about what's ahead next 3 games. Stand by.
Jeffrey, what are you doing?
Well, I'm joining the band, of course. Since Meldon Law is the official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, I want to help.
Dad, we're litigators. Let's stick to helping people in the courtroom.
Well, can we still hang out and jam a little bit? At Meldon Law, we won't back down.
All right, thank you, Jeffrey. And, of course, you know Meldon Law is the home of the Florida Gators giveaways. You be sure and check their Facebook page. They give away tickets all the time. By the way, just a shout out to my friends at Red Star Medical Research. They are great neighbors, great stakeholders, and have been sponsors of this show for many years. They are a patient-centered, high-quality clinical research unity and facility. They have cutting-edge clinical research trials in Ocala for areas like Alzheimer's, psoriasis, osteoarthritis, migraine, etc., along with many other conditions that affect our community. Check them out. Go to redstar.net. You can find out some of the clinical trials and maybe take part in them. Red Star Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. All right, guys, we got about 3 minutes. Where do we go from here? What do we expect? Is this a team that they struggle with Vanderbilt, but nothing's safe and sacred anymore? Florida there's this SEC thing, and the upper echelon, we know who's up there. Now LSU goes up, Tennessee comes down a little bit, Georgia goes up, whatever. And then there's a middle grade here. The Mississippi States and Ole Misses and whatever. And here's Florida kind of moving on up. This could be a really, really good season if they can win out. But realistically, they'd have some issues. Did they find enough to go all the way for the next 3 games and maybe get to a bowl game and win it? 9 wins. We talked about what a good year it'd be to win 7. What if Billy Napier's team won 9 games? Ben?
I think it is realistic because of who you played already. I know that one team 1 week don't really got nothing to do with the team next week, but you've ran the gauntlet already. I mean, what? You played LSU, you played Tennessee, to what number 1, number 3 team, at least as far as like last week goes. You talk about a team like Kentucky that's got a good enough quarterback. You just had a really, really bad game. And we see what LSU is doing right now at 7-2. This Florida team is good enough to win out. Yes, you give Mike Norvell a lot of credit for what he's got going on right now, at Florida State. I think you make a great point, Lauren, when you talk about a guy, in Spencer Rattler, who, if it's going good, he's really good. If it's bad, it's real bad. He don't really have. He's kind of a very hot and cold type player. And Vanderbilt plays everybody tough. They seem to be playing everybody tough, but they just don't get. They don't end up with the final result. I think Florida should go into these games confident. They can respect everybody, right? They can respect everybody. But what? 10-point loss to Kentucky. I think a 10-point loss to LSU. 14-point loss to Florida, right? And
22-point loss to Georgia.
22-point loss to Georgia. So the thing, you know what that shows me? They're in it. They were in every game they lost. Every game they lost, they was in it. It's not like I know Georgia's got away at the end, right? You gave up 14 points to Georgia in the second half, and that's the only points you've given up in the last 2 weeks in the second half. You good enough to go out there and get it done. Why? Because the quarterback is known. What did we say about Anthony Richardson? Stop turning the ball over. He stopped turning it over. He has not turned the ball over. What do we tell the defense? Get off the field on third down.
And
right?
pressure the quarterback for a change, which they did yesterday.
Football one-on-one, pressure the QB, get off the field on third down, make for sure tacklers. If you are safeties, nothing cheap, nothing deep. That's it. That is football. Yeah. And they get it done. So yes, I think they got a shot to go. And don't think that South Carolina's on the list. They took us to the woodshed last year. Now it was hard to watch. And that was Shane Beamer's like big win last year. So they coming in confident. We get it. They coming in confident. Vanderbilt is gonna be Vanderbilt. And listen, man, them boys of Tallahassee, they ain't had nothing to feel good about in a long time. So that's always gonna be a good. You wanna, even though it's played on Friday. I don't know how I feel about the Friday night game with Florida State, Florida. But I say, I think looking ahead, buddy, 15 is taking steps every week. The running game is what the running game is. And I just want to see how we look jumping out on the team. Like, how do we look? Can we jump out on the team, force them to play catch up, make them one-dimensional, see how we look with that? Because we haven't really done that yet. Maybe like once this year. I'm gonna live with the chasing the team down, but I'd rather them have to chase us down. I see how we look. I like to play front runners. I like to be up by 21 going into the fourth quarter, knowing that we got to just put them away. So, but I do like our chance. I think moving forward, confident, convinced, and hard nosed. That's what I'm looking for us to be down the stretch. Because, like I say, it's if you end up 9-4, it'll be a bunch of then them shoulda, coulda, wouldas really become shoulda, coulda, wouldas of who you lost to. And because I think Tennessee, they're gonna end up being a good team. I don't know why people love Will Levis the way they do.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
But hey, all I can do, I rock with them orange and blue boys. Shout out to them Astros, which I never ever thought I'd say. Shout out to the Astros for making sure.
And Dusty, you got to pay props to Dusty. Make Lauren feel better about it.
Listen, shout out to Dusty Baker.
All right, there you go. I made him say
they got the right colors, but I don't want nobody in the NL East winning but my Braves. So as long as the Phillies alone.
Sorry about your Braves. That's right. Good stuff. All right, so here we go, Lauren. What's ahead, and what do you got? Close it out.
What's ahead is, I think, 3-0. 3 winnable games. I think 3 teams that, if you just look on paper from a roster standpoint, I think we have a better roster. We'll have a better signal caller than all 3 teams going into it. And I think that it suits up nice. I mean, I think that, we're one of the few teams that has gone to Vanderbilt and played well when they try to hit you with that 11 o'clock start. We seem to handle that pretty well as a team historically. South Carolina's at home on Senior Day, where you're celebrating guys like Ventrell Miller, Amari Burney, Trey Dean, who have done so much for the team and weathered the storm. So I think the team, a lot of times, and Ben, you want to go out and play extremely well for your seniors. And then, we got the monumental Friday night showdown against Florida State, which could be one of the more interesting matchups in that rivalry in the last 2 or 3 years. So I think that You know, you have 3 winnable games. There's 8-4. You go to a bowl game, go 9-4. I mean, buddy, can you imagine what the months of January and February leading up to spring ball will be?
Recruiting
You
city.
got to, I
Recruiting
mean, you got a
city.
but just the amount of people that will just be so intrigued with what Billy Napier is going to be doing with the roster attrition that should happen, the additions, things like that. I mean, we're going to have, I mean, the Buddy Martin show would be must see TV every night,
Oh
just
yeah.
dealing with the amount of things coming in.
Are
And,
we going to
I
go
think that
on the
just,
road? Are we going on the road or what?
what's that now?
Well, here, are we going to go on the road?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to give you guys a chance to shine. We believe in expectations here, and we believe in reaching for the moon. And as I think Ben likes to say, bumping your head on the moon. That's what he believes in. And so what's your max expectations? I've got the perfect scenario for Florida. I'm gonna give you my bowl, then you give me yours, okay?
Okay.
Reach out, say what? All right, sir. So I'm saying, okay, just stay with me on this right now. They're gonna win 8 and go to a bowl. They're gonna go to the Gator Bowl and play Clemson. All right? How big would that be? Especially recruiting in the state. So there you go, guys. Well, that's my take.
And listen, let me tell you something. I'm gonna say this: as long as it ain't the Outback, I don't care what it is. I get so sick of Outback Bowl. I like the Gator Bowl. You got the Gators in the Gator Bowl. You got them orange and blue boys versus them orange and purple boys. Let's do it, man. Let's make it an orange house, the all orange game. I will say this though: when people ask why are bowl games important, because the hardest thing to do in college football is win 6 games. Just ask the teams that can. People think 6 wins. That's not hard. That's very, very hard to do. So we go from 6-6 to 7 to 7-5 to 8-4 to 9-4. Lauren, when we go 9-4, get ready. Because my God, I'm talking about. Listen, the same people. Look, Gator Nation, we ain't nothing but family members. We used to talk trash behind each other's back. Now we use Twitter to do it. We just talk trash to each other. But with everything that's went on, it's not how many fights you had, it's who you fought. Who did Florida fight? They fought LSU. They fought Georgia. They fought Kentucky. Right? These are the teams they fought. Right? And they fought Tennessee. Tennessee might not lose another game the rest of the season. Right? Yeah. Find themselves on the outside looking in Atlanta because they lost to Georgia. Right, LSU, if they keep it going, they might end up in Atlanta. Those are 2 teams that that Florida freaking played. Will Levis and company gonna make it to a bowl game. You know, I just think that when you look at the totality of this thing, Florida has had a rough in the SEC. Oh, Florida's schedule was rough. Everybody kept talking about how rough the beginning, and we beat Utah, who gonna probably go to the Pac-10 champ. Come on, man, y'all need to stop with the. And
2 playoff teams probably going to that you lost.
2 playoff teams, and Florida State gonna finally make a bowl game. Right, they're gonna make a bowl game this year.
What?
What?
Yep.
What?
Florida
State gonna make. Florida State
wait. Is Miami gonna make one? Oh, I'm so sorry about that. You mean Miami not going to be in the bowl game?
Florida State gonna make a bowl game. They're going to go to the Orange Bowl. That way,
can't buy one, so they ain't going.
Listen, let me tell you something. It's real quiet down there in Coral Gables.
It is very quiet.
It's real quiet because people thought, man, it did. You know what? I'm gonna say this. Miami got the same problem Nebraska got. They living in the past. When people say they're gonna get back to what they were, there is no way Miami's gonna get back to that. Ed Reed is on the staff. Yes. I saw Jason Taylor coaches at Miami. Oh, my freaking mate. You on the wrong squad, man. You're going to be an analyst. You need to come up to GVM. Wasting all this. I know he coached Derek Wingo in high school. Derek, call him up. Hey, man, come on up to GVM, man. You ain't going to the beach down there, no way. Come on, bro. We can bring you on up. But, yes, Florida is I like the Gator Bowl. Because I want nothing more than to beat Dabo and come to DJ Uiagalelei, however you say his last name. It ain't working out the way they thought it was going to be up there in Clemson. Just because you look the part, don't mean you are the part. I'll go with our single color.
They can have South Beach. I'll take the First Coast, and I'll take Ponte Vedra Beach and the Gator Bowl. How about that, boys? You like that? All right, close us out, Lauren.
Yeah, I mean, man, New Year's Day, I think, or right around that time in Jacksonville, two-story programs, Clemson and Florida. I mean, that would just be, I mean, and for Billy to go against his former boss, I mean, the storylines would be unbelievable. It's one of those recruiting games because we recruit against each other, same fertile recruiting ground down there. So I mean, it'd be unbelievable. But just the opportunity to line up and from where this program was a year ago to be lining up and playing in a game where everybody's locked in, playing in the Gator Bowl, the way the season's kind of gone, and unfortunately, when you go 8-4, and a lot of times in a regular season, you probably lose a game you shouldn't have lost, Kentucky, and you probably lose the three teams that ultimately are better than you, LSU, Georgia, and Tennessee, which, we'll see, like you said, if those games were played on different fields and different times in the season, maybe so. But I would say Georgia definitely has outclassed us at least this year. But, if you look at just the way that things are going, the way that Brian Kelly has developed his team at LSU, and this is what I got to say about people at LSU. Say what you want about Brian Kelly. How good would LSU be possibly if Marcus Freeman didn't get the Notre Dame job and they gone from Brian Kelly to LSU? So, I mean, I think
I'm a fan of Brian Kelly, so all of a sudden I'm a fan. I just got to tell you, I loved how he coached last night.
Well, call Grand Valley State, who hadn't won a national title in Division II, I think, since Brian Kelly left, or Cincinnati, who was, I mean, just all those. But I say all those things to say, 9-4, Gator Bowl, a bowl that I can drive to. Which
that's what we're rooting for. Yeah.
And covering that for Gator Bait would be an honor. And so.
Listen, I'm going to say something about Loren yesterday. He's not a seasoned journalist, but his performances have been magnificent on the road. He's like a dead gum. He's learned to be a journalist, man.
I will push back on that and say I think he is a seasoned journalist because he's fair. Meaning, hey man, you know who I'm rocking with. Once again, I'm gonna say it out loud. If you've ever met a Georgia beat writer, oh my! It is hard because what happens is, listen, okay, if I'm a Florida beat writer, I am not on the Florida staff. I ask Billy Napier questions. I understand I'm talking about young men, but I don't use words like us and we when we talking about Florida. I use words like them and they.
There you go.
Because when it comes to the Florida beat writers, I guess Kirby told him, if I catch you saying anything negative, you ain't getting one more interview because them boys is, oh my God, they only wear Georgia. They wear Georgia stuff when they ain't even at work. Them boys is different. But yes, when you listen, when you read Loren Meadows' pieces, when I'm reading your stuff, I can see, okay, this is where he's talking. You have to be fair but firm when you are a journalist. That's journalism. I'm gonna tell the truth, but I'm gonna be firm. I ain't finna go out there and say Anthony Richardson. Just because I know he good, did he play good? I'm going to talk about how he played that day, not the fact that he has the best upside in any quarterback not named C.J. Stroud and Williams and Bryce Young. That, to me, is journalism, meaning I can be critical and fair, but I can't coddle. I can't coddle these guys because they are the best, quote, amateurs you ever going to see in your life. That's journalism. This stuff like last year, a couple of years ago, Brian Greasy made up something nefarious about Felipe Franks. He tried to say something. I defended Felipe Franks and said, no. I said, Brian Greasy, don't do that. You don't have to sensationalize stuff to get clicks. He tried to talk about off the field stuff and his teammates don't like it. He said he's emotional. I said, he's not emotional. He plays with emotion. There's a big difference. Felipe Franks ain't never done nothing outside of going through the gauntlet with McElwain and the reason why Dan Mullen got a contract extension. That's all he did for Florida when he was there. So I think Loren could teach some of these other journalists.
Yeah.
Hey fellas, just call the game. I don't care about you went to school with his uncle and all that does. That ain't got nothing. Call the game, write it, because I've been impressed by. Buddy, you've been in Florida Georgia press box. It is awful. It is
many times.
Yeah, how do you deal with it? Outside of the food, I'm getting the hell up out of there. I ain't going back. Not doing it.
Guys, I got to go. Miss Tony's telling me I got things to do in here, but we could do this for a while. Really great job by both of them.
Get that list done.
Oh yeah. Well, I got to catch up. Got to go. Your column's done and posted. By the way, read it if you want to read the analysis. I got to go now and write mine. Finish it. I ain't had time to do that. And Ben, I didn't get yours. Did I miss it?
Yeah, it's in your spam mail.
I'm gonna get you, man. I'm gonna get you. You're gonna.
I'm gonna end up doing like a
Block.
visual Gator
Whatever.
breakdown.
All
Man. I'm
right.
just
All right.
gonna
All right.
put it up.
Maybe you and Lauren can break it down. Here's the deal. Look. You got a book, okay? So you're a writer. So you are in that cat. Great job, guys. I love doing this show with you. The Gator fans are loving it today. Don't give Lauren the big head now because he ain't done his homework. He's not got his white glove player yet. And people want to know, like Dan Bond, come on, what's the deal? And by the way,
you, Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
Lauren finna go by one of them. Lauren finna go by one of them Dallas gas stations and get some of the best barbecue he ever had in his life. I heard about them Dallas gas stations.
Yeah. By the way, Dan saying, "Come on, Ben, give us an article." So it's out there. So it's happening. You two guys, love you both. Great job, and we're gonna go out with this. You might know these two ladies over here, Lauren.
Repeat after me. I believe in the boys and girls of old Florida.
I believe in the boys and girls of old Florida.
In all kinds of weather.
In all kinds of weather.
And I won't back down.
And I won't back down.
Chomp.